welcome to my channel, Big Hard Books and Classics. Today, coming at you with a review of this book, Flights, by Olga. I know how to pronounce this, I just forgot. Tokarczuk, Polish writer. This book, Silje in Norway turned me on to this book last year. Don't ask me why it took me so long to read it, because I love this book. I've never read anything quite like it. And link to her channel below. In fact, I'm going to buddy read Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead next with Sina in Germany. Link below to her channel. But let's get to this. It's I couldn't put it down. It's in short little chapters, vignettes, a lot of different characters in here. The main character is a female who has a degree in psychology, although she doesn't use it for a living. She's a writer, although she doesn't write for a living. She journals a lot in that. She travels. She'll pick up odd jobs here and there to make money to travel again. And there's an itinerary in the back. Starts out in Vienna, then she goes to Dresden, then Berlin, then Amsterdam, then St. Petersburg, and other places, and finally to Philadelphia. And there's maps and drawings in this book too, from the Agile Rabbit Book of Historical and Curious Maps, Amsterdam, 2005. I'll show you some pics of the maps, but from St. Petersburg, from Algeria, Chinese, Russia, Jerusalem, New York, the wanderings of Odysseus, represented on a map from the Odyssey. I'm going to read some sections of the book too. Now, this is what? Which one is this? This is Russia. And this is Japan. And there's a really good 2-page one. Check this out. So it's very interesting, you know. I learned a lot from this literary fiction novel. I learned many new words because it's not only a travelogue, it's a deep dive into the human body and meaning. Have you ever seen, it was touring across the country in America called Body Works, of these cadavers that were stripped of their skin, and they were posed in athletic poses. There's things like that. There's this book just covers so many different topics, from travel, religion, like the relics of Catholicism. You know, they have John the Baptist's hand that's preserved. She goes into great detail. I believe I marked it. I'll read from it, of how they go to mummify and preserve these things. And there's many interesting characters that several reappear throughout the novel, like this Dr. Blah. He's one of the experts in preserving, and he's real interested in biology and that. There's a character, Eric, with a Y, E-R-Y-K, who's a sailor on a whaling boat, and he fell in love with Moby Dick when he was in prison in a foreign country. Borges is mentioned in this, other writers. There's a murder in this, a murder, kind of a euthanasia type thing. No spoilers. I'll try not to spoil it. The tongue is the strongest muscle in the human body. Did you know that? I didn't. Here's an interesting part. because I'll relate to you a story from Portland, Oregon. In the end, the whale would finish dying and its body would need to be removed from the beach. The crowds would have dispersed by this time. In fact, no one would be left except the service people in bright green jackets who would cut the corpse up and load it into trailers to haul it off somewhere. If there was a cemetery for whales, that's definitely where they were headed. Billy the orca drowned in air. Everyone inconsolable in their grief. Although there have been instances of people managing to save whales, in response to the great and dedicated efforts of dozens of volunteers, these whales would take deep breaths and head back into the open sea. Their famous fountains could be seen springing joyfully up into the sky, and then they would dive down into the depths of the ocean. The crowd would break into applause. A few weeks later, they'd be caught off the coast of Japan, and their gentle, pretty bodies would be turned into dog food. Now, I almost forgot to relate my Portland story about the whale story. In Cannon Beach, about 20 minutes from here on the ocean, a whale died and sanded itself. And they thought it'd be a good idea. This is back in like the 60s, and there's still video on this. I'll try to find it on YouTube and link it. They thought it'd be a good idea to blow it up, and then the seagulls and everything would just feast on it. And they couldn't figure out how to remove the carcass of the whale. Well, they used too much dynamite and blew it to pieces. Just, there was nothing left of it. But anyway, that's the Portland whale story. Seeing is knowing. Each of my pilgrimages aims at some other pilgrim. In this case, the pilgrim is in pieces, broken down. Here, for instance, is a collection of bones, but only bones that have something wrong with them. Curved spines and ribs in ribbons taken out of what must have been equally deformed bodies, treated, desiccated, and even varnished. There's a little number by each bone to help the viewer locate a description of the illness in the directory that has long since ceased to exist. What kind of durability, after all, does paper have in comparison with bone? They should have written right along the spine. Wax model collections. And this is 50 pages later. Each of my pilgrimages aims at some other pilgrim, this time in wax. Vienna, the Josephium, a collection of anatomical wax figures, recently renovated. On this rainy summer day, another traveler besides me had wound up here, a middle-aged man wearing wire-rimmed glasses, his hair completely gray, but he was interested in only one model, to which he dedicated a quarter of an hour, then disappeared, a mysterious smile on his lips. I myself was planning to stay longer. I'd equipped myself with a notebook and a camera. I even had caffeinated sweets in my pocket, a chocolate bar. Slowly, so as not to miss out on the exhibition, I took tiny steps towards the glass cabinets. Model 59, a 6.5-foot tall man, skinned. His body pleasingly woven out of muscles and tendons, open work. The first glance brings a shock, no doubt a reflex. The sight of a body missing its skin is in itself painful. It stings, burns, as in childhood when live flesh came peeking out from behind a skinned knee. The model has one arm back while the right raised over his head in a graceful motion of an antique sculpture, shields his eyes as though he were looking into the sun in the distance. Well, you get it. But model 60 also represents muscles and tendons. Exhausted, I sat down by the window on the hard bench facing the silent crowd of wax models and let myself feel overwhelmed. What was the muscle that was squeezing my throat so tight? What was its name? Who thought up the human body? And consequently, who holds its eternal copyright? So there's questions like that about the soul. Is there a soul? Is there not a soul? Where does it go? when it leaves the body. This is getting over 10 minutes long, so I'm going to stop there. But reoccurring characters, I'd say it's character driven. There is a plot. The ending is very satisfying, and I highly recommend it. So, thanks, Silje. Sorry it took me so long to get to it. I promise it won't be next time. Okay, have a good one, guys. Hey, it's a balmy 60 degrees in Portland, Oregon today. The high is 75, and tomorrow it's going to be 90. I love living in the Pacific Northwest. Come visit. Ciao.